They had broken through the outer fence and they were interior on federal property when
They
the
were
crimes
invited
occurred.
in by ICE as the ICE was preparing to give them a tour.
That doesn't give them an excuse to start punching law
You
enforcement
understand that they were not
officers.
storming the fence?
Well, I don't understand. Are you making excuses for their behavior that day?
I'm just trying to clarify what exactly happened.
Oversight is an important part of what Congress does and what you provide to our department, and we welcome it. We give tours when members of...
Speaking during an appropriations hearing, DeLauro, the ranking Democrat on the House Appropriations Committee, zeroed in on a core issue that often gets lost in budget debates. Who actually controls federal education dollars? Her answer was unequivocal. Congress does.
Senator Kim.
Thank you, Chairman. Madam
Hi, Senator.
Secretary. A press release came out from the Department of Homeland Security a couple days ago. It said that members of Congress in New Jersey that went to the Delaney Hall ICE detention facility could, quote, could have just scheduled a tour. I guess I'd just like to hear from you if you can confirm that you understand that members of Congress by law are allowed to show up unannounced to conduct oversight visits of ICE detention facilities.
Yes, they can conduct oversight, but Senator, what I would ask is that they understand that that doesn't mean they could show up with a mob with the intention to break in and assault law enforcement officers. That's what happened at Delaney Hall last week.
You're familiar
is that those individuals and those members of Congress were surrounded by criminals, creating criminal and perpetuating criminal acts.
You understand that
But when
they
you
were
show up
already
and ask
within
for a tour,
the
we
facility.
facilitated every single tour that every member of Congress has wanted. We've always done that, and we have to, when we have a tour, also make sure that we've addressed security concerns and have enough staff and all of that, and we were accommodating that when those individuals showed up and they decided instead to break in.
You know that they were already on the ICE premise, already facilitating into having the tour when there was the arrest of the mayor. They were not breaking into
They had broken through the outer fence and they were interior on federal property when
They
the
were
crimes
invited
occurred.
in by ICE as the ICE was preparing to give them a tour.
That doesn't give them an excuse to start punching law
You
enforcement
understand that they were not
officers.
storming the fence.
Well, I don't understand. Are you making excuses for their behavior that day?
I'm just trying to clarify what exactly happened.
Oversight is an important part of what Congress does and what you provide to our department, and we welcome it. We give tours when members of Congress ask for it. We just ask that they not be politicized, that they actually are there to provide the oversight that is needed to ensure that we're doing due diligence in our job.
And if I were to show up at ICE detention facility unannounced, I would be let in.
Yes, I would ask
Yes.
that you would be allowing us to secure the officers that we need to give you an appropriate tour, that we'd be able to cover the other bases and posts that they would have to leave to come and facilitate that. We may have to call other people in to help cover some of that because of the extra responsibilities, but we
I've
can
done this
do that.
before. I just wanted to make sure I heard that from you. I wanted to just go back to something that was raised earlier about habeas corpus. Can you confirm to us that you understand that any suspension of habeas corpus requires an act of Congress?
President Lincoln executed habeas corpus in the past with retroactive action by Congress. I believe that any president that was able to do that in the past, it should be afforded to our current day president. This president has never said he's going to do this. He's never communicated to me or his administration that they're going to consider suspending habeas corpus, but I do think the Constitution allows them the right to consider it.
When we saw what happened with, how many times has habeas corpus been suspended in our country?
Once that I know of.
4 times.
For certain. I'm not certain if those were...
The instance that you were referring to was one where the courts subsequently showed that Congress is the one that has the ability. Do you know what section of the Constitution the suspension clause of habeas corpus is in?
I do not. Nope.
Do you know which article it is in?
No, I do not, sir.
Okay, well, it is in Article 1. Do you know which branch of government Article 1 outlines the tasks and the responsibilities for?
Yes.
Which one?
Congress.
Yes. Stephen Miller has said that he is actively considering, that there is active consideration of habeas corpus. Have you had a conversation with Stephen Miller about suspending habeas corpus?
I have not.
When it comes to FEMA, this is something I'm concerned about. Being from New Jersey, you know, we've had challenges with Superstorm Sandy and others in the past. I was alarmed when I saw some reports that the acting head, Richardson, said last Thursday that he's about 80 to 85% done with the hurricane season plan, given that we are just days away from hurricane season beginning. I just wanted to ask you, is he done with his hurricane preparedness plan?
He is working diligently with the employees at FEMA and are prepared for hurricane season. What you
Have you seen
referenced.
this plan? Have you seen this plan? Is he?
Yes, I've been
presented it to
actively
you?
engaged in hurricane response and preparation.
seen the
We're
plan?
pre-staging people, pre-staging equipment.
Is that
We're
plan
making sure that
something-
we have tabletop exercise we're running through with all of our regions on what their response will be. It's been very extensive how we've laid out this plan.
Will you be able to share
what-
that plan with this committee?
I will check and make sure
Yeah,
that
if
I
you can
can,
check
but
on
I would think that we would be able to do that. I can't
Just
see any
one-
reason that would
Just
be.
one last thing. A couple weeks ago, you said that you were considering restarting in-person training at the National Fire Academy.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to ask if you're prepared to tell this committee that you are moving forward with restarting in-person trainings.
Yes, the plan is to do that again, so.
That has been approved
yeah.
to restart?
Yes, it has been.
Okay, thank you. And with that, I yield back.
Senator Scott.
Sure. Thank you, Chairman.
DeLauro began by grounding the discussion in a basic reality. Most education funding in the United States already comes from state and local taxes. Federal dollars are meant to fill gaps, protect vulnerable students, and ensure a baseline of equity nationwide. When those federal funds are converted into block grants or frozen altogether, she argued, the result is not flexibility, it is cuts. She warned that block granting education funds has a long track record of shrinking programs, not strengthening them. States are forced to make impossible choices, often cutting mental health services, literacy programs, and teacher training first. Governors, regardless of party, know this reality well. Many states simply do not have the resources to replace lost federal funding. The heart of DeLauro's argument was legal authority. She stated plainly that neither the Education Secretary nor the President has the power to dismantle the Department of Education. That authority rests solely with Congress. She cited Supreme Court precedent, including opinions written by Justice Antonin Scalia, affirming that there is no inherent executive power to eliminate a federal department created by law. This is not abstract civics. Subscribe now to understand why it matters. DeLauro then listed the real-world consequences already unfolding. Grants for school-based mental health professionals, psychologists, counselors, and social workers have been abruptly canceled. Programs designed to train and retain qualified teachers, especially in underserved areas, are being dismantled. Research contracts that help schools understand what actually improves literacy and reduces chronic absenteeism are being cut off midstream. These are not theoretical programs. They directly affect whether a child gets reading support, whether a teacher gets training, and whether a struggling student stays in school. She made a simple but powerful point. If students, teachers, and principals benefited from these programs last school year, they are entitled to those same benefits this school year. Anything else creates confusion, instability, and harm. She walked through the proposed budget impacts in stark detail. Literacy development programs eliminated. English language acquisition funding eliminated, a point she personalized by sharing her father's experience leaving school because he could not read or write English. Adult education and workforce training programs eliminated. College access programs like TRIO and Gear Up eliminated. Teacher quality partnerships eliminated. Childcare access for student parents eliminated. Even Pell Grants and Student Aid Administration were listed as to be determined, a phrase that offers no reassurance to families planning for college. Subscribe now if you believe families deserve clarity, not chaos. The broader picture DeLauro painted was one of erosion. 18 education programs eliminated and replaced with a block grant that cuts billions of dollars overall, with no explanation of where the cuts will land. Congress, she reminded her colleagues, cannot do its job without information. Appropriations without details undermine the very role lawmakers are elected to perform. She closed with a pointed challenge to Secretary McMahon's credibility. The Secretary of Education, DeLauro argued, is entrusted with safeguarding the future of public schools and higher education. That role demands deep knowledge and experience. When policy decisions affect literacy, academic achievement, and college completion, parents deserve confidence that those decisions are grounded in expertise, not ideology. The exchange underscored a fundamental tension playing out in Washington: executive power versus congressional authority, and ideology versus evidence. As this confrontation signals, the battle over education funding is far from over, and the outcome will not just be felt in hearing rooms, but in schools across the country. Subscribe now to stay informed as lawmakers push back, budgets evolve, and the future of public education hangs in the balance.